obviously it's my baby, and I went through some very difficult times in my life, and I wrote this show. It's very much storytelling, and I always like to say that because my stand-up friends, they're brilliant too, and I'm like, this isn't necessarily like joke setup, but it's a real flushed out story, and it means so much to me, and it really is something that's kind of freed me inside, being able to share this story with people and given me, that connection with audience. People come up to me after and they're like, we've gone through something similar. Thank you so much for talking about this. And so it makes me feel really, I'm really proud of it. No, I was not laughing. I was absolutely not laughing during this event at all. Like the fact that I can even smile about it. Now, honestly, when I started to feel free of the things that were causing me so much shame, and this is not like one and done thing that, it's an ongoing thing within myself. It has to do with your self-worth, very low self-worth. And I think people just assume because of my family and where I come from and this, that I should just be fine. And I think that that's where the facade starts coming in. You start creating this sort of other alternate person, hoping that will, be the thing that people like about you. I really feel like I felt like I could tell this story when I really started to feel free of the shame of it. But the first night, I was actually just telling someone this, that the first night when I opened this over 2 years ago, the fear, just like, oh my God, all that stuff starts to flood back to you. But I'm happy that I did. So I think it was the debt and hiding it, that it was like embarrassing, that I had all this debt and I was hiding it, and I was unraveling. My ex didn't know, and then he, it was that. I think the shame of that and the embarrassment of it, and I think people were like, wait, what? So I think that there was a bit of that. But it humanizes you, I think that so many people go through stuff like that, but it's not talked about as much as other things because there's so much shame around it. And other things are more openly discussed with, any sort of addiction to sort of, doing other things. But the spending is a real dope. It's a real serotonin release. And I think it's very difficult. Being a woman there's so many different layers to what we have to go through, and the differences between how men and women are treated. Going up there, to me, I always felt like, people are going to think that I was just a spoiled brat out spending, but it was so much deeper than that. It comes from so many different layers of so many different things that have happened in my life. And it was very difficult for me. And sometimes it still is. I get up there sometimes and I feel very vulnerable, or, I'm not sure how the audience is going to take it. So I feel nervous and like I'm standing up there naked, and it can be isolating too, because it's just me to reliving this whole thing over and over and over again. So I try to surround myself with good energy and stuff while I'm doing it. I have an amazing group of friends and amazing people. And my dear friend, Giannis, is doing the musical cues live for this show, which is really, really exciting. He's doing that. And it's just like I try to make it a family thing, and so I think that, just kind of coming up with everybody and making it the surroundings that you're surrounding your people with are good, because it can be heavy and a lot of work. With you, look at how many men have in big businesses and stuff and have done so many crazy things. Like women do that. Yeah. They're cut off. They're shunned. They're bad. They're problematic. They're hated. They're just the differences are so vast that I don't know. I'm honored that you feel that way, because it means a lot as a woman. I think that this is a very men have really enjoyed the show too, but I think for women, really connect to it for many different reasons and how it feels to sort of go through all these things at a very young age. And you don't know, you're just, I'm like, you're sort of learning as you go. And I think, I don't know, we're humans. We all make bad choices, we make good choices, but I think it's how you come out after those choices that really makes a difference. You know, I've always sort of done characters and stuff, but I really started with the impressions. Like I've done impressions of, you know, different people, but I really started to hone in on them during COVID because no one had any access to things. So we're all just in front of our phones. And so I started doing them there. And then I sort of started doing these fun little skits. And then I really started branching off doing them. And I love doing them so much because I just find people so fascinating. So I love to watch little mannerisms that, you know, these different people have and their different vocal tones and these characteristics or things that sort of come out of their mouth I find to be fascinating. But then I try to take it to another level where you are sort of creating a little bit extra out of that. It gives me so much joy to put on wigs. I have a very big wig. Now I'm going to be like revealing myself, like shopping addiction, wig addiction. I have like 80 something wigs. So when I was going through all this and everything sort of hit rock bottom and I was getting divorced, I was working on television series and, you know, making good money. And then that sort of started to dry up. I was very depressed and without dealing with it. And then I was running out of money. Like I was broke and in an extreme amount of debt. I had debt collectors banging on my door and I didn't have a job. I was up this what is it with the ship without a paddle. I don't remember what I'm gonna butcher that. But I went in to get, my friend owns this very successful tanning company in Los Angeles and she sprays Hollywood's elite. And I came in crying, broke, but needing a spray tan because I was going to a wedding and I needed to spend that money on that spray tan. And she was like, do you need a job? And so I took on the job. And it's interesting because this job is the very thing that got me on my feet and almost made me come out of my shell and start doing these characters. And it's weird. It was like it really, I was stripped of everything. And there's nothing wrong, by the way. Like most actors have side jobs. It's very, very normal. But I think when you are kind of, as everyone does, you feel like you're on a trajectory. Like I'm married, I'm on shows, I have this, I have that. It messes with you because remember, like I had created this whole alternate Nicole who cared deeply about what people thought about her. So now I'm like Nicole the spray tanner, like I'm confused. But the characters that I came across and the stories that I had were so insane. I couldn't believe that this was actually a job. It was the craziest thing I had ever gone through. And I still, till this day, like the stories blow my mind. And I'm only scratching the surface in the show. So when we built the show, this is the very long answer. We wanted me to be able to tell that and be able to tell that part because it's, you know, kind of like the arc of it. And then also it allows me to sort of bring in the impressions because I play the different clients and myself. So I go back and forth. Yeah, and I think that it's just an important layer of it that I think that it was sort of part of the story of what got me to where I am now. Without that, I don't know that I would have this show. There's many shows about debt and you know, like I think that this gives it an extra layer of sort of an inside view to what like the Hollywood scene beauty industry, which is fascinating. Oh my gosh. I'm going to give you two. One of them was from a girl who had been, I guess, I don't know her, had been in a rough marriage and after watching my show, it encouraged her to get the divorce, live her second phase of life and move out of that situation. And then another person hadn't dealt with a lot of shame and heartache in their family. And after she saw my show, she got in the car with her friend, opened up to him about really deep things and started getting into therapy and like opened herself up. And she still sends me Instagram messages and tells me she's in a wonderful relationship now. And I just is like, I could never imagine my show bringing that to people, but I'm so grateful that it did. And just some of the reviews, I feel so incredibly grateful for all of it. But really, these two girls have stuck with me in my heart. So.